empire fall, then another empire rises. And those spirits that was once controlling this empire will go to the next empire. Why? Because if there's no change in hands, the people will start getting knowledge and topple the whole thing. So eventually it goes from one empire to the next. And I'm just dealing with this on a political scale. But all in all, it's the Most High doing this, leading to the fall of all the nations so that Israel can rise. We're not to partake in their ways. We're not to go get our palms read. We're not supposed to be dealing with astrology. We're not supposed to be dealing with any of those things. Our protection is the full armor of the Most High in Christ. That's our protection. If we want to find out what's going on in our lives, we must seek the Most High. All right? Now let's go to Daniel 9 real quick.
Daniel chapter 9, verse 26.
9 and 26. Now, when you go read Daniel 9, it primarily goes into all the powers and this one spirit that would come up in the earth, which is the spirit of Antiochus Epiphanes, which would destroy the children of Israel. Now, as you can see, when you read Daniel 7 through Daniel 9, it talks about the Babylonian Assyrian captivity, the Persian Medo captivity, where the nations were destroying us. And it talks about matter of fact, let's get that, where it says the king of Persia withstood it. Then we're going back to Daniel's 9. Mm-hmm. Daniel's 10, the water brother, Daniel's 10. And let's start at the 12th verse.
Daniel chapter 10, verse 12.
And I'm showing you how this understanding that all the rulers get, how they get this from the left-hand side, and that this happened all the way up until our present time with Barack Obama, the Pope, all of them. Listen to this clearly.
Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before the Most High, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. He
says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. Now, that means Christ was sent to take down the Persian Empire through the Spirit to raise up the next kingdom that would come. After the Persian Medo Empire, you would have what empire? The Grecian Empire. But on the spiritual side, he was contending with this spirit for 21 extra days to show you there's a spirit over every nation. So this God over the Persians was fighting to keep the Persians in power. This is what we don't see. This is the unseen. Read.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me.
So now Yeshua was doing his thing behind closed doors, fighting the king of Persia and going against his spirit that will allow the Grecians to rise, to the point this Persian God was so starch and adamant in staying in power. Michael came to help him take down the spirit of Persia so that the Greek Empire could be fulfilled. Hope y'all can see this. So this is what goes on for one empire to fall and another empire to reign in its stead, to come in its stead. And when the other empire comes, guess who goes over with the next empire and gets into the next king? Yes, the fallen one. And say, listen, I can give you knowledge to see, both good and evil. I can give you everything, but you got to help me do this. And then all his sorcerers, necromancers and wizards and all of that goes with the next empire, Satan's cabinet. Hope you're following me here. This is how this thing happens in the spirit. We see it in the physical, but something happens in the spiritual before there's a change of powers. Okay, let's go to Daniel the 9th chapter. Yeah, you can read it. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 10, verse 20.
Go ahead.
Then said he, Knowest thou wherefore I am come unto thee, And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth,
Read that 20th verse again for me.
verse 20. Then said he, Knowest thou therefore that I am come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come.
See that? He says, he says, Daniel, I'm talking to you right now. But now, soon, I'm going to the prince to finish fighting with the prince of Persia. And then after that, the Greeks will come on the scene. The Greeks are next. Now look at this. See, if brothers and sisters know this, then they just can't point to a white man or this man. It's all in the hands of the Most High. Okay? The powers that be cannot help the time that was prophesied that they would be in power. If we were living under the Persians again, and the way they were treating us, and they tried to mass exterminate us during the time of Esther. If we were living under the Persians, you would have brothers standing talking about the Persians are the devil. They're the devil that the Torah and Tanakh speaks of. They're just focusing on one empire and not focusing on the grand scheme. Okay? Now, let's go to Daniel's 9. With Daniel's 9? Let's get it. Daniel's 9 and the 26th verse. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. And after 62 weeks.
After 62 weeks, given a time, because Daniel is wondering when will Israel be delivered, and he's given a time period here. Read.
Shall Messiah be cut off.
That's talking about Christ being crucified. This is what Daniel is being shown. Read.
But not for himself.
But he's not dying for himself. He's dying for the sins of the children of Israel. Read.
And the people of the prince.
And the people of the what?
And the people of the prince.
And the people of the prince. Who's the prince? Hold that. Hold that. And let's get John. Let's get the prince here. John 12 and 31.
St. John chapter 12, verse 31.
Read it.
Now is the judgment of this world.
Now is the judgment of this world.
Now shall the prince of this world be cast out.
And now shall the prince of this world be cast out. What was Christ talking about? The prince of this world, the principalities and the powers of the air. The prince of this world is the fallen one. Now let's go back to Daniel, the 9th chapter, when it talks about, when it says after the people, when it talks about Christ being killed, but not for himself.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off.
The crucifixion,
but not for himself.
But not for himself, but for the children of Israel. Read.
And the people of the prince.
The people that are being controlled by Satan, that have power under Satan. Read.
That shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.
So if you want to know who the people of the prince are, they are the Romans. They are the people who came and destroyed the sanctuary, which means the knowledge of all that evil since the beginning is now being passed to who? The Romans. Now we didn't track this serpent from the beginning through all empires. Now he's with the Romans now. To do what? To fulfill his original promise. Read.
And the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end.
It says the end thereof shall be with the flood. When you go into Revelation, the 12th chapter, it talks about after they took us down, that we fled into the wilderness, and a flood followed after the woman. That flood is your religion, your witchcraft, your sorcery. All the things the Most High said we cannot partake in. Read.
And the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
And they will continue to do this until they make Israel desolate altogether. That is the plan of the fallen one and its cohorts and the societies who are in agreement with the fallen ones. Okay? Hope you're with me now. Now let me give you some overview of how this thing spread through history. During the time of Persia, when all the spirits were operating with him, with the fallen one in Persia, and I know y'all seen it under King Darius and different kings of Persia. Listen to this clearly. As a matter of fact, let's get that. Get me Esdras. First Esdras 3. Start at the first verse. Esdras 3 and 1.
First Esdras, chapter 3, verse 1. Now when Darius reigned, he made a great feast unto all his subjects, and unto all his household, and unto all the princes of Media and Persia, and to all the governors and captains and lieutenants that were under him, from India unto Ethiopia.
Unto who?
From India unto Ethiopia.
Read.
Of 127 provinces. And when they had eaten and drunken, and being satisfied were gone home, then Darius the king went into his bedchamber and slept. And soon after, with the guard that kept the king's body, spake one to another, Let every one of us speak a sentence. He that shall overcome, and whose sentence shall seem wiser than all the others, unto him shall the king Darius give great gifts, and great things in token of victory, as to be clothed in purple, to drink in gold, and to sleep upon gold.
Let's see what happened under King Darius after things was fulfilled, after someone brought a wise saying and said, well, if I give you this wise saying, I just need you to help me build the temple that was fallen. Now don't forget, he's saying the temple that was fallen because it fell under the Babylonians. And now Persians are in charge. You got Esdras saying, you have the prophet saying, well listen, we need to build the temple again. Go to 1 Esdras 4 and 45, and let's see what happened here.
1 Esdras chapter 4, verse 45. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple.
You vowed to build the temple, read.
Which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldees.
So who burnt the temple in the past, even when we fell? The children of Edom burnt our temple. And I wanted to show that. Read the 50th verse.
Verse 50. And that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute, and that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews which they then held.
So now, the Edomites started taking our lands back then, but they had to give over some of our villages once the Persians decreed this. Now, of course, the Persians did this to the Edomites, and the Edomites didn't feel good about this. They didn't feel good about this at all. And you can imagine when the opportunity presented itself that they would take them down. Who are them? The Greeks. So you need to understand this geopolitical battle that's happening here in the Bible and how we get to the times we are today, in which now the European powers, which is the Edomites, are now destroying those over in the Middle East. This battle didn't just start with our time. They'll make you think that this thing just began. I don't know if I'm going too far off the beaten path, but I had to get that out there. Let's go to 1 Esdras 8 and 69.
1 Esdras chapter 8, verse 69. The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land.
Because it told us in old time, which was Deuteronomy the 7th chapter, that these people that are dealing with all these different practices and exercises, if you don't stop them, it would actually overrun society